A lone human arrives on an alien world, and as if by magic, and quickly rises to conquer the entire planet. The eight-pointed Chaos Star symbolizes the Chaos Gods, powerful beings from a parallel plane of existence. A galactic bureaucracy oversees a decaying and stagnant empire, where technology from the past far outclasses anything that could be created in the present. This technology, shrouded with mysticism, has become a religion understood only by a select few. At the empire's core lies a trapped emperor, encased in a life-sustaining device, serving as both leader and deity. Opposing this empire is an elfin species whose decadence drives them to revel in torture and slavery. And then, of course, there are the iconic Space Marines and their relentless insectoid enemies. Today, we're delving into the literary works that inspired Warhammer 40K. Welcome to Reading Crossbow. My name is Rob, and in today's episode, we're exploring the science fiction and fantasy novels that laid the foundation for the legendary Warhammer 40K universe, which was first published in 1989. If you've been following along with this podcast, you may already know that I have a love of Warhammer 40K. I recently just kit bashed a Night Lord's kill team, and last year we reviewed the book The Lion, Son of the Forest by Mike Brooks. But instead of focusing on the latest book releases, we're going to rewind the clock a little bit and examine the timeless classics that gave rise to many of the tropes that we see in Warhammer today. Well, why revisit the classics, you might ask? Well, for me, it's because these stories do more than just entertain. They really are the creative bedrock that so much of the media and Warhammer we love today. Several years ago, I was between books, and so I kind of embarked on a journey to read, and in some cases reread, some of the classic sci-fi and fantasy novels. For some, this was just a nostalgic experience, but for others, this was new exploration. The books we'll discuss in this video have withstood the test of time, offering new readers a deeper appreciation of the tropes that they had pioneered. And for Warhammer fans specifically, I feel like you can get a richer understanding of the setting's origins by reading these books. Sure enough, Warhammer has drawn inspiration from almost every facet of our culture. For example, space elves, space Vikings, space Egyptians, the other space Egyptians are just a few of the more overt cultural references in Warhammer. The setting also borrows heavily from popular media properties like Judge Dredd, The Terminator, and the Alien franchise. But today, I'm going to try to zero in on the novels that predate Warhammer. As I already mentioned, Warhammer was first published in 1989, and so the works we're going to talk about today, many people recognize as being foundational to the grim-dark universe that fans cherish. So, grab a cup of your recaf, settle in, and let's chat about some of the sci-fi and fantasy greats together. The Eternal Emperor, Runestaff, by Michael Moorcock, 1968. Let's begin with Michael Moorcock's Runestaff series. This a post-apocalyptic fantasy blends the futuristic with the ancient. The fertile ground with which all of Warhammer is based. In this world, the King Emperor Huon is interred in a life-sustaining device, which very much parallels with Warhammer's God Emperor of mankind and his golden throne. Both of these symbolic leaders are the spiritual figureheads in a larger struggle, the struggle of order versus chaos. Sound familiar? Desert Worlds and Super Soldiers. Dune by Frank Herbert, 1965. Dune, the quintessential sci-fi masterpiece. With its feudalistic empire, Dune finds echoes in the Imperium of Man, complete with warring factions, religious institutions, and sprawling galactic bureaucracies. The Bene Gesserit's religious manipulations mirror the ecclesiarchy, while the Fremen of Arrakis, shaped by their brutal environment, resemble the Astra Militarim's death world recruiting grounds of Cachetan and Krieg, whose entire cultures raise up some of the Imperium of Man's greatest warriors. The feral recruiting worlds of Fenris and Baal mirror Seleucus Secundus and the recruitment of the Dune's Emperor's elite Sardaukar. Both of these settings also use engineered mutants called navigators to pilot their FTL ships. This is an acceptable alternative to the dreaded use of machine intelligence. You see, Dune and Warhammer share cautionary tales about the danger of artificial intelligence. Dune's Butlerian Jihad banned machine minds with the commandment, "Thou shalt not make a machine in the likeness of a human mind." This echoes Warhammer's lore of the Men of Iron and its abominable intelligence. While both of these settings reject sapient, sentient AI, their individual solutions to this problem do diverge. In both, humanity's history with AI serves as a warning about the reliance on technology, where humanity accidentally enslaves itself to its own creations. For more on how this occurs, maybe check out the Pixar movie WALL-E. Chaos Incarnate. The Elric Saga by Michael Moorcock, 1961. Another gem from Michael Moorcock is the Elric Saga and its sprawling multiverse of the Eternal Champion stories. This series weaves themes of interconnected universes and moral ambiguity that defines Warhammer's interconnected fantasy and 40K settings, as well as the bleak, dystopian tone of Warhammer owes much to this series of novels. Just think, the iconic 8-pointed star of chaos. Well, it originates in this work, both in name and in essence. Chaos in these stories isn't just an adversary, it's also a force of transformation and destruction. Opposing it is law, a stagnant force of decay and suppression of innovation. Basically, the central themes of Warhammer 40K. Also within these books, we get to explore Elric's nation of Melnibone. As described, it could easily do double duty in describing the Dark Eldar and the Dark Elves of Warhammer Fantasy. Imagine this: a maze-like path must be taken to reach this island of civilization. A civilization so old the culture refers to almost everyone else as being the new races, because they were already old before those species really existed. These beings came from another place, and while they used to be more benevolent, time has made them more cruel and aggressive. A decadent, depraved culture of slavers. The residents of this city delight in torture and will even arrange for the screams of their victims to be heard as almost a choir of pain. These beings are not evil for evil's sake. They're just an ancient culture seeking new forms of pleasure and entertainment because everything else has been done. It's now old and boring. And so they have to take more and more extreme lengths to find pleasure in life. Personally, if you're a Warhammer fan and have not read the Elric Saga, I strongly recommend this series to you. More than any other books in this video, these books embrace the tone and the moral ambiguity that you'd expect from any Warhammer story. Space Marines Assemble. Starship Troopers by Robert Heinlein. 1959. Power Armor. Space Battles. The heroic sacrifice of humanity's defenders. Heinlein's Starship Troopers practically shouts Space Marines. Even the relentless insectoid enemies bear a striking resemblance to the Tyranids of 40K. Like the arachnids, Tyranids evolve a lot of their technology instead of relying on artificial or mechanical tech. This novel also dives into the philosophy of military duty, a theme that you'd expect to be discussed amongst many leaders in almost any Warhammer story. Galactic Decay. Foundation by Isaac Asimov, 1951. The vast, crumbling galactic empire of Isaac Asimov's Foundation serves as an eerie parallel to the Imperium of Man. Trantor, the capital planet, covered by a single massive cityscape, brings to mind any number of Warhammer's hive worlds, as well as the holy world of Terra. And how about a religious reverence of technology? Well, in this series, Asimov nails it. In Foundation, maintenance manuals become holy texts, and rituals dictate the proper operation of machines, just like the tech priests of Mars in Warhammer. The technology worship in Foundation, where priests perform sacred rituals to maintain machines. These might include performing the prescribed series of actions, such as anointing it with holy oil in a very specific manner, is an obvious commonality between these settings. A lack of knowledge and secret knowledge of the scientific elite make even scheduled maintenance of advanced machinery seem like rituals. This religious practice grants these technologists a privileged existence, as without their technological miracles, the priesthood, which the priesthood is responsible for, civilization would just collapse. Foundation also covers several other themes popular within Warhammer, such as control of societal superstitions, ideology and political manipulation, and the dangers of the mutants and the psychics. Primarch Origins. Barsoom by Edgar Rice Burroughs, 1912. And finally, we come to A Princess of Mars and the Barsoom series. This is where John Carter's journey to an alien world, where he is transported there as if by magic. he gains these superhuman abilities because of his genetics and where he is from. And he quickly becomes this conquering hero, very much mirroring the origins of most of Warhammer's Primarchs. His personal charisma, strength, and other worldly qualities are echoed in nearly every Primarch's backstory. These classic novels are more than just stories. They are the building blocks of Warhammer 40K's rich and immersive universe. If you haven't read them, I highly recommend adding them to your TBR list. Whether you're a seasoned fan of Warhammer or new to the series, these books and their inspirations will deepen your appreciation for the galaxy-spanning epic that is Warhammer 40K. By the way, if you have any suggestions of a beginner-friendly Warhammer novel that we can cover on the show, especially one that Lena might be able to read and appreciate, please comment it down below. And while you're there, can you hit the subscribe button? We're a small channel and every subscriber really helps the show. Thanks for tuning in to Reading Crossbow. We really appreciate your time.